Right, so let's set the scene properly. Arsenal travelled to Lisbon for the first leg of their Champions League quarter-final against Sporting CP. And here's what made this game feel like a movie. Gyokeres was going back to the club that made him, the club where he went from a decent championship striker to one of the most feared forwards in Europe. The fans respected that. They gave him a warm reception when his name was announced. But the Sporting defenders, they had zero sentimentality. They came to stop him, and they did exactly that. From the very start of the game, Sporting pressed high, defended compact, and basically made sure Gyokeres never got a clean touch in the box. Every time the ball came near him, there were bodies around him. He couldn't turn, he couldn't run in behind, he was isolated. By the end of his time on the pitch, the stats told the whole story. 17 touches, that's almost impossible for a striker to achieve in a modern game. It means the whole team struggled to connect with him, and when they did, the ball wasn't sticking. His one moment to really impact the game, a late weak shot that the Sporting goalkeeper Rui Silva gathered without breaking a sweat. That was it. And to make things worse, there was a moment where a Martin Zubimendi strike was disallowed, and Gyokeres was part of the offside call that killed it. So his biggest moment in the game actually worked against his own team. Tough night. Really tough night. The Portuguese press destroyed him. Now, I know some people will say the media are always too harsh, and sometimes that's true, but not here. The Portuguese press had a point, and they made it without holding back. A bowler wrote that Gyokeres seemed masked, not in a good way, like he was invisible, hidden, playing with a mask on, but not in the warrior sense. More like nobody could even see him on the pitch. Ojogo said Sporting stifled him, stifled, like they suffocated his game completely before it even started. And Public, they said he was largely absent. A striker in a quarter-final, largely absent. Now think about the context here. This is a man who scored 97 goals in 102 games for Sporting. He basically carried them to dominance. And they came up with a plan so simple and so effective that he had almost zero impact. That stings. That really stings. But here's the thing I keep coming back to. Sporting knew exactly how to stop him because they trained with him. They know his runs, his movement, his tendencies. Of course they had a plan. The real test is whether Arsenal and Arteta can find a solution for the second leg. The Fabrizio Romano context you need to know. Let me give you a bit of background here, because the whole Gyokeres to Arsenal story was dramatic even before a single ball was kicked. Fabrizio Romano was all over this deal last summer. He confirmed that Gyokeres had already agreed personal terms with Arsenal, a 5-year contract, and that the player only wanted one club. And I mean only. Romano literally said he only wanted Arsenal. Capital letters. That's how sure Gyokeres was. The deal itself was a mess though. Sporting kept moving the goalposts. They wanted more money, more add-ons, better clauses. Romano reported that at one point things got so tense that Gyokeres actually refused to turn up for Sporting's pre-season training. He told them directly he was going to Arsenal, and that was that. Eventually, the here we go came. Sporting accepted a bid worth around €63.50 million plus €10 million in add-ons. Gyokeres signed his 5-year deal. The move happened. So this isn't a player who was pushed to Arsenal or sold because the club needed money. This was a man who fought to be there, who chose Arsenal. And now on his return to Lisbon, he had one of his worst nights in a very long time. Does that change how you feel about the performance? For me, it makes it more complicated. He wanted this, he believed in this project, so the expectation was there, and he didn't deliver when it mattered most. Arteta's magic, the subs won it. Here's the part that Arsenal fans will love though. We didn't actually play well for most of the game. Let's be honest. Arteta knew it. The whole team looked laboured, like they were trying to force things that just weren't coming. And with Gyokeres having no impact, the attack felt flat. But then Arteta went to the bench. Gabriel Martinelli came on. Kai Havertz came on. And just like that, the game changed. In stoppage time, the two of them combined. Havertz found a way through, got on the end of something and buried it. Arsenal won 1-0. After the game, Arteta kept it pretty humble. He basically said the finishers found a magic moment to win the game. And honestly, that sums it up perfectly. It wasn't a masterclass. It wasn't pretty. But we found a way. Now here's where it gets interesting. Havertz scored the winner, Martinelli assisted, and Gyokeres, he was already off the pitch. I'm not throwing Gyokeres under the bus here, but I am saying Arteta made the call to take him off, bring on the subs, and it worked. That's going to be a conversation in the dressing room. That's something the manager is going to have to manage carefully. My analysis, fan perspective. Okay, here's where I give you my honest take. Not as a journalist, as an Arsenal fan. First, Gyokeres has scored 17 goals in all competitions this season. He's Arsenal's top scorer, so let's not pretend he's been a disaster. He hasn't. He's been decent. But decent isn't what you pay over £65 million for, and it's not what you expect from a guy who scored 97 goals at his previous club. The question I keep asking myself is this: is Gyokeres a system-dependent striker? Because at Sporting, he had a whole team built around getting him the ball in space. He had runners around him, quick combinations, and a style of play that was almost designed for a big physical striker to dominate. At Arsenal, the system is different. It's more possession-based, more structured, and sometimes that means the striker has to wait, has to hold, has to create space without getting the ball. And I don't know if Gyokeres loves that. I don't know if that's his best environment. That said, 17 touches in a quarter-final is a team problem, not just a Gyokeres problem. Arsenal as a whole didn't connect with him enough. The service wasn't there. You can't blame a striker for not scoring if he's not getting the ball. But here's the uncomfortable truth. In the biggest moment of the season so far, the subs won the game, not the £65 million striker. I'm not fully convinced he's the finished article for this Arsenal team yet. I want to be. I really want to be. But Tuesday gave me doubts. Questions for you. Let me throw a few things at you, and I want your thoughts in the comments or wherever you're watching this. Question 1. Do you think Gyokeres is the right striker for Arteta's system, or does he need a different style of play around him to really thrive? Question 2. Should Arteta start Havertz up front in the second leg instead, or does Gyokeres deserve another chance at the Emirates? Question 3. Arsenal go into the second leg at home 1-0 up with a 68% chance of progressing. Do you think we get through, or does Sporting have enough to flip this tie? These are real questions I'm sitting with, because the second leg is going to tell us a lot about this Arsenal squad and about Gyokeres specifically. The second leg, what's at stake? Right, so here's where we are. Arsenal host Sporting CP at the Emirates on Wednesday, April 15th. Kickoff is 9 p.m. if you're watching from East Africa. We go in with a 1-0 lead. A Champions League semi-final is on the line, and Viktor Gyokeres gets a chance to walk out in front of his new home crowd and remind everyone exactly why Arsenal fought so hard to sign him. The motivation is real. After the Lisbon nightmare, he will want to prove people wrong. He will want to score. He will want to silence the Portuguese press, who called him barely visible and largely absent. And honestly, I want him to. I want him to come out at the Emirates and absolutely tear Sporting apart. I want that Gyokeres, the one who scored 97 goals, the one who made defenders look stupid every week in Lisbon. That version of him would be unstoppable. The numbers say Arsenal are strong favourites to go through. Statistically, we have nearly a 70% chance of making the semis, and with home advantage, a winning mindset, and the crowd behind us, this is ours to lose. But football doesn't care about statistics. It doesn't care about form or transfer fees or expectations. It just happens. So here's the bottom line. Tuesday in Lisbon was not the Gyokeres show. It was the Havertz show, the Martinelli show, the Arteta knows how to substitute show. But the story isn't over, not even close. Gyokeres is a competitor. He went to war to get to Arsenal. He chose this club over everything else. And now he gets a home game, a sold-out Emirates, and a chance to write a very different story. The question is, will he take it? I think he will, but I've been wrong before. Drop your predictions below. Are Arsenal going through? Does Gyokeres score at the Emirates? Let me know. And if you're watching this before the second leg, come back after the game and let's talk about what actually happened.